What's up, everybody? Trinity here, and welcome back to the Second Street Marvel. In today's comic book review, I'm going to be once again bringing you a triple feature. Yeah, that's right. Today we are going to be talking about the 3 new Dawn of X titles that are out there. This is the beginning of the number 3s out of all of these 6 titles that have come out of the release, I guess the reboot of the X-Men in the Marvel Universe. And those 3 titles we're going to be talking about today are X-Men issue number 3. And then we're going to go ahead and talk about Marauders issue number 3. And then finally we will talk about Excalibur issue number 3. Okay, guys, now if you haven't been subscribed here for long, or you didn't see my video a couple of weeks ago that I did ranking the Dawn of X titles, I think you should probably definitely go back and give that a watch. You know, there should be a link up here somewhere where you can go and check that out. Now, I only mention that because, you know, who knows? You know, go leave me some critiques, and maybe I change my mind along the way. So, getting started right off, first we're going to talk about X-Men issue number 3. Okay, so this one right here is written by Jonathan Hickman. The artist is Lionel Francis Yu, and the inkers are Jerry Anguillan. I'm sure I messed that up. And Lionel Francis Yu. The color artists are Sonny Go and Rain Barreto, and the letterer is VC's Clayton Cowles, designed by Tom Muller, and the cover artist is Lionel Francis Yu and Sonny Go. And I will show you those names on this beautiful 2-page spread that you guys know I love so much out of these books. Absolutely love them. Look at that. Oh, man. And then go ahead and take a look at that cover again. That's a pretty nice little cover. I like the cover. It's not bad. Not bad at all. So basically what we find here in this book, again, to me, I like this book. This book is finally, we get something actually kind of serious out of it. I feel like the first 2 issues of the X-Men seem like just kind of silly stories with, some, just things kind of interwoven in there, stuff to help build the story, I guess, but not much of it seemed like a bunch of silliness with Scott Summers and his family. Here we're actually getting quite a bit more than that, I think. And what we find is that basically the mutants that we have here involved, we've got the White Queen, Cyclops, Magneto, Marvel Girl, and the Black oh God, what is it? The Black King. Yeah. Sorry, it was Sebastian Shaw. Never mind. Anyway, so these are the mutants we got involved here. And what we find is the Quiet Council is coming together to send them on a mission, to send Scott and the other 3 on a mission to the Savage Land, because the Savage Land, the gateway, has actually it's basically been hacked by this group of people called the Horticulture. And we learned quite a bit about the, I guess just enough about the Horticulture here in the book, as we are introduced to these characters. And once again, and that comes in the form of, one of these white pages that we get at the very back of the book. These another lovely 2-page spread here that tells us who Horticulture is, and what reading order that you need to read these books in. Okay. Hey, I'm not making a big deal about it. I'm just saying we do get to learn who this group of these ladies are who come in and hack the Krakoan gate, and they kind of tell about their plans and their research and what they're doing. Because what we find here is Krakoa. We've seen that it's had a lot of problems, and apparently right now part of the problems with this gateway there in the Savage Land being hacked, it's basically causing Krakoa a lot of undue stress, and it's basically like shriveling up. You know what I mean? It's kind of like shriveling up, and we get a little bit more talking about that as well, about the island being under stress. And this right here, this Krakoa is screaming. Once again, guys, another white page. You gotta love these things, right? Explaining exactly what's going on here with Krakoa and things like that. Whoever thought of telling the story in the actual comic book with the pictures and stuff, right? Yeah, I don't know. Altogether, I won't. You guys know I just don't like these white pages. I just don't like them. Give me some art. Give me some art. Give me some story. That's what I want. But that's what we find here is largely there is this gate that has been hacked in Krakoa. We learn about the people, Horticulture, who hacked it. And while they're while they're actually going to Krakoa, Scott and Sebastian Shaw actually kind of, man, they get roughed up by these old ladies, and Emma Frost stands back and holds her place, like, hey, like, what's going on here? Like, hey, she kind of just lets them off for the time being. As you can see, that they kind of have the dominant hand here, but it doesn't go without some really great dialogue with Sebastian Shaw. I think I think a lot of people would laugh at that, as like when they were first introducing themselves as horticulture. He just kind of looks at him with his face. It's really great, and he's like, horticulture. It's just I don't know. Like I said, guys, this book I thought was really good. This is one of the ones I'm actually pulling of this series. I really do like this X-Men issue number 3. I kind of feel like we finally got a little bit of, I don't know, just like a little bit of action out of this book. I feel like largely the first 2 issues were just kind of silly story, setting up stuff, with this Summers family, and I don't know. And a lot of that is spilling into some of the other series out there. But altogether, guys, X-Men is one of the series, on my ranking list. I told you should probably definitely be keeping up with reading. Now, moving on, we're going to talk about Marauders issue number 3. Now, this book is being written by Jerry Dugan. The artist is Michelle Bandini. Michelle Bandini and Elisabetta D'Amico are the inkers, and Federico Blee is the color artist. VC's Corey Petit is the letterer, and Tom Muller is on design. The cover artist is Russell Dodderman and Matthew Wilson, and I will show you that cover once again right there. Okay, so now Marauders here, we're getting a flashback here, because in case you guys haven't been paying attention, Marauders has largely been about the Hellfire Trading Company. And we seen in the last issue, we finally got to see who was going to be sitting in that 3rd seat on the Quiet Council of Krakoa, and it wasn't the Red King, it is in fact the Red Queen, Kate Pryde. And we learned here, this Marauders issue is somewhat, it's kind of a flashback before that seat had been given, I'd say, a couple of weeks or so before that, as we see Sebastian Shaw here at the beginning getting ready to head to Krakoa to have his son resurrected. His son, Shinobi Shaw, is there, and we see a couple of other characters that are in their past forms. We can see that this obviously happens before events that we've seen, say in the last issue of Marauders, if you will. So that we flash back there where to the birthing pods, where his son Shinobi is brought back to life, and we get this really great scene now. It was really great to see this flashback, this callback to the Uncanny X-Men, exactly when Shinobi Shaw had died. This really great picture right there. I don't know. I thought that was pretty cool looking, considering the way he died in the callback that they did to the Uncanny X-Men series. So just really great stuff, and that's kind of what we're getting a lot of here, is Sebastian Shaw catching up with his son Shinobi Shaw, trying to tell him about trying to get him ready for the role of being the Red King. And that's what a lot of this story revolves around, is getting kind of talking to his son about coming into basically the family business. And we see, then we flash to a current time where we know what happened in issue number 2 of Marauders. You can see, the Marauders are doing their Marauder thing in this book. They're kind of pirating against each other, essentially, at this point. And I like this book. If you go back and watch that video I did of the ranking list, I still don't feel any differently about where this book falls as far as relevance is concerned. But I like this book, and don't take that ranking list that I did as any indication of how I feel about each of these books, because I like what's going on in the Marauders series. I think this one is definitely one worth reading, if not for just some of the great kind of funny situations in it. But we also get a little bit of other stuff in here, just kind of things planted in here, where we get, some more of these, these lovely white pages that I love so much about this, all these, these things here. These text messages between Kate and one of the other the other mutants and just talk, just some of this top secret eyes only access kind of stuff going on in this book. But I thought this book, like again, I think this is Marauders has been a pretty good series. But again, I honestly don't see Marauders as being a series that's probably going to last maybe more than 10 to 12 issues. I don't know. I could be absolutely wrong, and I hope I do because that's actually a really good one, the Marauders series. Okay, so now the last one I'm going to talk about is Excalibur issue number 3. Now, this book is being written by Teeny Howard. The artist is Marcus Toe. Eric Arciniega is the color artist, and VC's Corey Petit is the letterer. Tom Muller is on design. Mahmoud Asrar and Matthew Wilson are the cover artists, and production is Jay Bowen, and head of X is Jonathan X. I'm going to go ahead and Jonathan Hickman, I'm going to go ahead and show you those names right there because I can guarantee you I butchered some of those in this book, and I'll let you get a look at that cover once again. Now, guys, this book, I don't know, guys. I didn't like. I thought the first issue, it was okay. Like second issue was, it was okay. Again, I think some of the events that are taking place in this book are going to be something relevant to the overall story. At least I hope. But I don't like this book largely isn't really all that great. The characters, I don't know, just everything kind of involved. It's not the greatest book out there. Again, I did that ranking list video that I talked about earlier, and this one is a little high up, like I don't know, maybe about midway through the list, because I think the events are significant, though this story just, I don't know, I don't know. Some people like it, maybe some people won't. But we got you can see the mutants that we're dealing with here in this book. And this time we're dealing with most of the same ones: Captain Britain, Apocalypse, Jubilee, Rogue, Gambit, Shogo. Richter is a new one. Morgan Le Fay, Mariana Stern, and Brian Braddock. And basically, what what we know from the last one was they had the basically the new gateway put up there in England after the lighthouse was the lighthouse was destroyed of Betsy Braddock's, the one in their family. And we flash to this scene here with this great little once again one of these great little white pages here in the book of Richter as he is having problems controlling his abilities. And guys, I'm not super familiar with all these mutants. I'm just being honest with you here. He's having some problems controlling his powers, and we can see this is what we get some of right here on this white pages. Some of his internet chat boards talk. And then we flash it here into Otherworld as Morgan Le Fay is still trying to figure out what's going on with why is this Krakoan gateway still growing basically in their what is that, like that little portal that they have there, what is their little pool that they have there where the gateway was growing through. And she gets a hold of Mariana Stern, to find out what's going on and to hopefully throw some interference the direction of Captain Britain. And we see that right here that when they came into we learned this at the last issue, when they came to Otherworld, Shogo ended up changing into this big old dragon, ends up helping him travel here while they're in Otherworld. They go to the castle there in Camelot. They end up fighting with Brian Braddock. They end up getting in a tussle with him and the rest of the Morgan Le Fay's soldiers there. And I don't know, Brian Braddock, he looks pretty badass there. He looks pretty badass. Yeah, I don't know. And that's really, largely all that happens aside from Apocalypse going here to pick up Richter and get him back to basically at the lighthouse there in England, because that's where he was there. He was supposed to be babysitting Shogo, but he ends up there with Richter. And that's really largely about all we get in this book. A couple other little things. Again, guys, like I think some of the events that are happening in this book are going to be significant, but altogether, I don't really like this book necessarily. It's not terrible. It's just, I don't know. It's just one of those books out there. I just don't see this book lasting more than 5-6 issues. I don't know, maybe 10. 10's pushing it. But again, I don't know. Like I said, some of the significance in here might be very significant, but I don't know. Largely, I wasn't totally impressed with this book. But let me know down in the comments below. What did you guys think about Excalibur issue number 3. And let me know what you thought about Marauders issue number 3, as well as X-Men issue number 3. Let's talk about it down in the comments below. Let's talk about these books, what you thought about them, and what are some of your theories going forward in the X-Men universe, as we now have the first of the number 3s coming out out of the Dawn of X titles. Let's talk about them down in the comments below. That's all I have for this video today, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this Second Street Marvel. If you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe, click the little bell, and all that other good stuff. If you like the video, like it. If you don't like it, give it a dislike. It's all good. I don't take it personal, but make sure that you share it with a friend and invite them to come hang out with us here on the Second Street Marvel. You all have a very good day. Have a great rest of your week. Go out and support your local comic book shop. Let's talk about some comic books, guys, and we'll see you in the next video. Later.